Joining me from our sponsor, Hester, is Jen Harding. Jen is the General Manager of Advice Development and Growth at Hester. Jen, thanks for coming on the show.
Bec, thanks so much for having me.
Jen, you're going to tell me the biggest questions people ask their super fund as they're approaching retirement, aren't you?
Yes.
So hit me with number one. What is the most frequently asked question you encounter at Hester?
The most popular question we get asked at Hester, and in particular for members at RSVP for our retirement seminars, is how much super is enough to retire on?
And how do you answer that?
Oh, it is complex, but it's very individual. So it really depends on how much you intend to spend in retirement and how many years you've actually got to spend it.
Life expectancy and budget.
Correct. The great unknown. So there are some good rules of thumb in the industry that we talk about. So, for example, you might want to replace 70% of your current income in retirement, and that gets you only so far in terms of wanting to feel really financially confident. I think the next step that you have to take is actually understand what your areas of wealth are. So it's not just about superannuation, it's how much you've saved over your lifetime. You might have owned your own home. You might have other assets outside of superannuation, and you also might be eligible for the government age pension. So all these things can add up to an income layering approach to retirement income, and one can't be considered outside of the others.
Yeah, you really need to understand them all. And frankly, 62% of Australians are eligible for the age pension today at the age of 67. So it's a powerful tool to put into the layering.
Absolutely. And it's such a great safety net for Australians. At Hester, we are able to help members with tools like Future Planner, which allows us to help them model how much age pension they might be eligible for together with their superannuation. So they can actually see how that plays out over their lifetime.
That is a really powerful tool.
Yes.
All right, number two. When and how can I access my super? And what if I decide to do some more work? Can you explain that to me?
So accessing super for retirement, the age 60 is the magic number. So at 60, you can access super if you've ceased an employment arrangement. And you can also access super if you are still working by setting up a transition to retirement account. So 60 really is the big number. Of course, there's also the age 65, which it doesn't matter if you're working or not. You can access your superannuation. So between the ages of 60 to 64, though, if you cease employment, you can make a declaration when you withdraw your super to say that you are no longer going to work. But as we know, life changes and you can return to work for all sorts of reasons. It could be financial, could be you're seeking social or, purposeful reasons. So if you do return to work, as long as you're able to, at the time of accessing your super, say that you've ceased that employment, and hand on heart, you are not going to be working again for that employer, then you can access that.
And it's break it down for me. It's just ticking a box. There's no policing this, is there?
No, there's no police. So your super fund asks you to declare on the form that you have ceased that employment arrangement. Now, if you decide in the future to start, a new employer arrangement, that's fine.
Yeah. 80% of people are saying they want to work in retirement now. So retirement's becoming more of a financial line than necessarily a working line, isn't it?
Absolutely. So as I said, the financial reasons are one element, but I think another big reason is continuation of finding purpose.
So much. I mean, and Hester members are nurses and doctors and people in the fields where we have got so much purpose.
That's right. And to be back in the community, adding value and also getting a little bit of money for it, that's a really great option for people.
Fantastic. Okay. And the third most frequently asked question, what is it?
The third most frequently asked question is, how can I put more into super? And is there a limit to how much I can add?
Well, you've got to answer that for me now.
So the quick answer is yes. You can put more into super. Because it's such a great tax-effective vehicle, though, there are limits. to how much you can put in.
Mm-hmm.
So the annual limits are there's twofold. So there's before tax contributions, which are currently $30,000 per year, and they're typically from employer super guarantee contributions as well as salary sacrifice. There's also after tax contributions limits, which is $120,000 per year.
Mm-hmm. That's quite a big amount.
Quite a big amount. But if you're at superannuation reservation age or age 60, you might want to be putting in a little bit more for whatever reason to supplement your retirement income. So we have other strategies and there's other contribution rules that you can follow. And this is something that our advisors help with all the time. So there's something called the bring forward rule, where eligible individuals are able to bring forward 2 years worth of after-tax contributions in 1 year, so up to $360,000 in 1 year.
Awesome.
There's also the carry forward rule, which allows members to carry forward the previous 5 financial years worth of pre-tax contributions if you haven't met those limits previously. And then there's also the downsizer contribution.
That's a doozy.
It's a big one. So for eligible individuals, if you sell the family home and downsize to something a little smaller or you move further away from the city, you can contribute up to $300,000 on the proceeds of that sale into super per person. So if you're a member of a couple, you could contribute $600,000 to your super funds.
And that's how a lot of people get to that comfortable retirement number, isn't it? They have a smaller super balance and then they downsize the home and they add that in using that tax-free contribution and bang, all of a sudden that balance is a lot higher.
Exactly. And they can be on track for a comfortable retirement.
It's the secret, I think.
It is.
I wish we had more opportunities to talk about it. Number 4 is a doozy. What is the difference between retaining funds in super and moving into a retirement income stream?
A lot of people think that they need to just keep their money in superannuation and then they take it out as they need to. We did some research with HESTA members about 18 months ago and found, some people have really legitimate reasons for doing so. So, for example, they might want to live off their spouse's income stream and they see that their account as a emergency fund. And that's fine. So they just live off the day-to-day income and then they draw down lump sum amounts from their other account. And so things like, solar panels purchase or a holiday might come through the emergency fund or the car's broken down and we need a new car. So quite legitimate reasons for leaving money in super. But a very compelling reason you might consider an income stream or retirement income stream is actually the tax savings. So what people generally don't appreciate is that while your money is sitting in superannuation or in accumulation phase, you do pay tax on investment earnings. So it's quite significant over the long run, the amount of tax that you'd be paying on those investment earnings.
So it's like 15% income tax that you pay every year on the money your super is earning. And is it 10% capital gains tax as well?
Yes.
That's a lot of tax to leave. Well, it eats away at your balance, doesn't it?
Well, that's right. And it's your money. So it is a really good reason to consider a retirement income stream because you don't actually pay that tax in the retirement income stream account. And it can make a big difference on your overall income. You don't feel it while it's in superannuation because it just gets taken from your balance. So it doesn't maybe hurt as much, but it is a real advantage if you can think about a retirement income stream where you can draw down your money without paying tax on those earnings.
And then there's if you move into a drawdown phase, there are some rules, though, aren't there?
There are. So with everything, there's pros and cons. So with retirement income stream, you do have to make at least one withdrawal a year. So you can choose to have regular income payments, so fortnightly or monthly, but you've got to have at least once every year that you're withdrawing at a set amount.
And there's a guarantee that you've got to meet or a maximum drawdown. And there's a minimum drawdown you've got to meet, isn't there?
That's right. So it starts at 4% minimum based on your age. And this is set by the government. So as you get older, the percentage increases.
So 4% at 60. I think it's 5% from 65?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right.
And then it goes up every 5 to 10 years after that, doesn't it?
Exactly. But you can still make lump sum withdrawals as well. So if you do want to have that as your emergency fund in addition, you can do that.
Yeah, it's good to know. I think a lot of people don't understand the drawdown phase of super.
Correct.
And the last one relates to our kids. Can I list my adult children as beneficiaries?
This is such a wide area of confusion. And I think it's mainly because the difference between super law and tax law and how they treat dependents comes into play. The shorter answer is yes, you can nominate your adult children as beneficiaries. The tricky bit is because they may not be tax dependents. If they're over 18, they won't be a tax dependent. That's where you have to put a little bit more thought into it. But there is a hack that you can deploy. So essentially when you are nominating a financial dependent, you're not going to subject them to extra tax. But when you nominate someone like an adult child, they will be subject to tax. But there is a strategy called cash out recontribution. And our advisors help members with this all the time. And this is a way in which you can withdraw money from your super account and then put it back into super, basically washing out the tax.
Yeah, right. Wow. So you have to see a financial advisor with your fund or another financial advisor to be able to do that?
I would recommend seeing an advisor. For most funds, this is part of the service that you already are paying for. And it's a strategy that's a little complex, so you probably do want to get the help. You could do it by yourself if you felt confident, but I would always recommend speaking to your fund and getting them to help you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming in today, Jen. You have been fantastic.
Thanks for having me, Bec.